and welcome to the Glow Up Girl podcast. I am Kyra Mitchell-Lewis. How is everyone doing out there? Well, I hope you guys are truly doing well and that you are continuing to find a way to embrace the opportunities and challenges that this year we call 2020 is bringing us. Well, today's episode is a first for us. We're bringing you both a video and an audio episode. So when you finish listening and you're like, I can't get enough of them, I must see the visual, you can head on over to our YouTube channel, which will be linked in the notes of this actual episode. So today I'm joined by Mike Johnson. And if you're thinking, Mike Johnson, is that the guy from The Bachelorette? Ding, 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 ding. You win a prize. Well, not a tangible prize, but you do get to hear a great conversation that I had with Mike recently about authenticity, why he smiles so much. We're talking about his new book, Making the Love You Want, and so much more. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. Looking to add a little sparkle to your wardrobe? Or do you just need some new eye candy to jazz up that next Zoom call? Well, look no further. Perfect Match Jewelry offers amazing nickel and lead-free necklaces, earrings, bracelets, rings, and more, all for $5. That's right, $5. View and shop their selection at perfectmatchjewelry.com and learn about special promotions and new releases by following them on Facebook and Instagram. Happy shopping! All right, welcome back to the Glow Up Girl podcast. I am Kyra Mitchell-Lewis, and I am so excited on two fronts today. One, for this amazing conversation that I'm about to have, and two, because this is the very first time that we are offering you all a video podcast interview. So Yes. So let's get, my guest today is Mike Johnson. He's an Air Force vet, member of the Bachelor and Bachelorette universe, global smile ambassador, and now author of Making the Love You Want. Welcome, Mike, to the Glow Up Girl podcast.
Thank you. I love that intro right there. That was nice. Thank you for having me.
I think I'm a hype man in my second life, so.
I know, like, I think that could be like a real thing. Like Little John, I don't know what Little John doing.
Right? If you need me, look, if you just need somebody on your book tours to show up and be like the virtual hype man, call me up.
I mean, we might can work that out.
So let's get started. So for those people out there in the audience who may not know you, can you start by talking about your journey and really how traveling to so many countries during your time in the Air Force influenced the person you are today?
Absolutely. I love that you said traveling, because traveling is quite honestly the makeup of my brain and how I became the man I am today, 100%. But I'm just a regular guy from Grand Prairie, Texas, who joined the Air Force. And after the Air Force, was in a relationship and, got my heart broke. And a friend of mine said, hey, you should try for this show. And I was a financial advisor at the time. That little show was called The Bachelorette, the season 15 last year, 2019. And I had never watched the show before, but I had heard of it. Decided, I'm like, I don't got nothing else to do. I'll try out. I was completely myself on the show. And, I think people resonated with that. I think I have a personality that is, I will speak my mind, but never in a disrespectful manner. But I have a tendency to speak my mind. And then, after coming off that show, I went on another show and still didn't find love. And then I decided to write a book on Love is All About the Power from Within.
Awesome. Well, you have an extraordinary compassion for people and helping them to be better humans. What would you say really drives that?
Thank you for that, firstly. You're so sweet. I would say it makes me feel good too. I think that when we can help someone else, it makes us feel good individually, right? Mm-hmm. When I acknowledge the cashier, right? And, say, how are you? And I look at them intently and with respect and with as a human being, they feel that they were seen that day. And so it makes me feel good that I know that I made them feel good as well. So I think it's a
Right.
win-win situation.
Right, right. Yep. And that compassion is so needed, like right now and during these times. So many people, I've said to a number of people that I know that like this time with COVID is really showing people to be their true selves. And those that are like amazing and compassionate people, those people are shining.
Absolutely. I agree with that completely.
Yep.
We all we all should, and I say should, even though it needs to be, we all must do it, but we all should wake up wanting to be a vessel of light for someone else. Because we may need that light as well one day. And like you said, it's COVID times right now. The world is crazy. We got leadership struggles. We got all kind of struggles within our country right now in America. And I think that by having compassion, you can literally lead other people without even trying to lead other people, right? Mm-hmm. And we can do that on all levels. You don't have to have an influence like I have from a number scale. We can all lead. And I just look at it from a small scale. My mom and my sister, how am I giving them compassion? How are they showing me compassion? And then, that breeds onto other people as well. And it's just, I think it's a good thing. I think more people should do it.
I agree with you. I mean, I definitely do. I just think, there's been a lot of ugliness over the last, like these last 3 or 4 months, and just people just being people. And, and I definitely believe if when they show you who they are, believe them.
Yes.
even though we try to give, chances, but I'm like, my God, like how many chances do you actually need to show me that you do not care about other people?
Kyra, I tell my friends, my homies and my lady friends that go on dates with people, I'm like, your date will tell you who they are. You just gotta listen.
Mm-hmm.
Like they will say exactly who they are. It's gonna come out, but it's up to us to listen to it, right? And
exactly.
Not make for it,
That is so true. So now you are referred to as a global smile ambassador, and you do have $1 million smile, which I know I'll get flack from a lot of people. Yes, people, I am married, but I have eyes too. Now, has this always been the case? Have you always been such a positive person?
Well, I think first I got to shout out to your husband. Shout out to you. I have always been someone with ambition. I have always been someone who, well, if you tell me no, I'm gonna find a way to do it. And so to me, that makes me smile. That in and of itself, that makes me happy, right? And then I would say, I actually broke down of just pure depression. One time a few years ago, after a relationship, I was home for 10 months. Didn't work. I quit my job. I didn't go out. I would order pizza in. Like, thankfully, I had a savings account that became dwindled, and that's why I had to leave the house again. So I was broken down really, really bad. And the only way that smile came from me was what I'm about to tell you now. I realized that I'm in a way selfish. Like if I want to smile, the most genuine way I know to smile is to make somebody else smile. Is to show somebody else love. It's to, appreciate someone else, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about like a loving partner. It could be my pizza man. Like, hey, bro, thank you. The food was super hot, and give him a genuine compliment or give her a genuine compliment, right? And then when they smile, I'm like, oh, what's up? All right, cool. And it makes me smile in return. So ever since then, it's like comedy. Comedy for comedians is medicine, right? Mm-hmm. Most comics have gone through a really bad times in their life, and they realize when they hit rock bottom, I just gotta laugh about it.
Exactly.
Then they can make other people laugh, and it's the best medicine.
Right. No, that's so true. I mean, I think like what you said, obviously I'm a big advocate of mental health and mental wellness, as I know you are. And like you said, having sort of that 10-month period of being in depression, I think as we were just talking a little bit before we started, when I started Glow Up Girl, it was literally because I think I was probably getting to a place of almost having my own breakdown. I was just going, and I was putting other people before me. And I was in this spiral of always trying to make sure I didn't let other people down, but I was letting myself down. And I finally, reached out to therapists, found therapists who, shout out to Dr. Corey, whoop, whoop, she always gets a shout out.
There you go, shout out.
And and she is, I remember going into her office and she asked me, like, why was I there? And I said, oh, I feel overwhelmed. And, and she listened, which I always tell people too, that's the sign of a good therapist, is because like she listened and she let me think I was there for the fact that I was overwhelmed. and I thought like, oh yeah, I'm on to something. But she pulled out the good old feelings wheel, which in turn sort of starts you on this outer wheel of like, how do you feel? You feel overwhelmed? Well, let's get to the core of why you feel overwhelmed. So the driving force is that you're afraid. So, and I was like, afraid or sad. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm not afraid. But it really was that I was afraid to let other people down. Like with my job, I had all these people counting on me. In my personal life, all these people counting on me. And I didn't realize that I was carrying that so heavily. So she was like, yep, I'll let you come here, little girl. You thought that's what you were, what that the problem was. But then it really just came down to the fact that I didn't have boundaries. I wasn't setting boundaries where I was prioritizing myself. And so
boundaries are definitely needed.
Yes. And you don't even think about it because you've been in that wheel of like despair is what I call it now. And just doing the same thing. It's insanity. Just doing the same thing and thinking that I was going to get a different result. Mm-hmm. And now I have those boundaries. I'm quick to say, let me think about it. Or if I don't want to do something, I just say, you know what, I appreciate the offer, but I can't do that. So it's definitely like so important. Like, people just think there has to be some type of a event that causes you to sort of spiral.
No, it's a period of time.
Right.
It's definitely a period of time, 100%. That's why, again, self-love is my focus, making the love that you want, right? It's all about you. In order to be good to somebody else and make those other people happy like you want to, you gotta make you happy first.
Yes.
You gotta make the core happy,
Yeah, I feel like you and Dr. Corey, y'all talking, because those are that's definitely the principle that I got. And like you said, it's if I'm not the best Kyra and I don't love Kyra, then I can't be anything for anyone else, because I'm going to be like in a spiral myself. So now on that note now, so obviously you are an influencer out there in the social media world. So you have a lot of people following you, a lot of people talking to you, and you are very engaging on Instagram. So
I am.
Yep. You always, yes, last night I saw you out there at the, what do they call it thing where you're like flying, doing the, what was that last night?
I fly.
Yeah. so
You said, what was that they flying up there?
I was like, what do you call that thing? I've seen it on TV. Yeah. But obviously, I know that, you always give a very positive message to people.
Okay.
But I'm sure sometimes you get back some negativity.
Oh yes.
And
yes.
you generally don't address people like on your IG story. Mm-hmm. But there was a story one day where you were talking about Black Lives Matter and someone did use a bad word. You put it out there. You were like, no. How do you deal with that? Because I'm sure you get it more often than what we see.
I get it a whole lot. So You were super sweet in how you delivered that. Somebody, I'm gonna keep it all the way 100.
But you can be real. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it all the way 100. Somebody had called me the N word with the ER, and they use it in a derogatory manner. And the reason that I even posted about it was simply because it didn't bother me no more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the issue. That is the issue that our young people need to know, that like, yo, you can't be saying this to somebody. For example, a man to a woman, me calling her a B, and if she doesn't become, if she's used to it, that's a bad thing.
Right.
You know, we don't. If I call my sister fat, right? And if it literally doesn't bother her no more, it's because she's been numb to it, because she's been called it so much, right? Mm-hmm. And I've been, since being and having some form of fame on TV per se, everything that been used against me. Mike is this, Mike is that, Mike is this, Mike is that. I walk outside, somebody say Mike trying too hard. It's like, what? But I spoke on the N-word piece specifically because I don't want people to become silent about the way that they are talked to, right? I don't want people to feel that they are becoming a victim by speaking on it, right? Mm-hmm. So it was my way of, when I posted about it, it was my way of taking back my power and be like, yo, you're not gonna call me or my people N-word whatsoever. You would definitely not say it in front of my face. We already know that. You know, internet trolls. But yes, since they are so blessed to not have to step in front of my face, let's say it like that, they I will take everything and make a positive out of it. And the reason being is because you can never taint my character.
Right.
That's something that is within me to do. My attitude is upon me. Now you can make me emotional in some regard, but the way I react to it is completely how I dictate. Yes. And so therefore, I took that. I know that my audience is probably like 95% Caucasian, and there's nothing wrong with that. I was on a Caucasian show. And so therefore I took it as, I'm gonna teach my audience that this is not cool.
Right. And you know, and that's what you have to do. I mean, that is so important, especially, I mean, all the conversations that have been had since George Floyd. I mean, obviously we've lived, this is every day for us. That's what I told people that I worked with. I was like, look, it's not this is not fleeting, and this is not a moment for Black people. Like, I am Black every day I wake up. At 24/7, every time I get in the car, I am Black. I was like, and I'm dark skinned, so I'm definitely like real Black. So it's like, yes, like we can't just have the conversations in the moment, or the conversations that you feel okay with having. Like, you have to be, if you want to start it and you want to be a true ally, you gonna get all of this. Like,
correct.
We giving it all out. Like, when someone uses the N-word, when someone is, pulls you over, I had so many people, like, I was telling stories of like just, being fearful of the police myself. And, and they were like, oh, well, you're a girl, I mean, I was like, but I have been I was probably early 20s. And I just, like, my husband and I were dating at the time, and he had like one of those old cars that had the rims on it.
Hey, there you go.
And and it's so funny because it's like, my husband is like the total like opposite of what that car says to most people. And so we would always get pulled over, like, all the time. And I was just like, man, can you please get rid of this car? I mean, because we were like followed from one county in like, I don't know how familiar you are with Atlanta, but like Fulton County is like Atlanta, Cobb is like Smyrna. We were driving on the interstate from like Cobb. The line was like here, we were here, and the police had followed us all the way down as we were getting to the line. And then just as we were getting across, the lights come on. And that was like the 10th time that we have been pulled over in his car. and asked, the same questions. Let me see your, license and drive, insurance and all that, registration. And so I told him, I said, please, let's just sell this car. Can you sell this car? Because I don't know what's going to happen if you keep this car. And so then I got a Mitsubishi Mirage. Now, if anybody know, that's like, you didn't take that car from anybody. Like, I bought this. It was my first car that I paid for out of college. So I was proud, and I'm driving, and we're coming back from the movies, and we get pulled over. And I get asked to provide like a proof of purchase, whatever the thing, bill of sale or whatever. I have to produce all these documents just so they know that I bought this car that costs like maybe $15,000. And I'm just sitting there like, really? And so, so there have been those moments, and they're not all like, I'm joking about it now, but like, they're not always nice when they pull you over and have those conversations.
Oh, no. I definitely know they're not always nice to you. They think they have a different, they act as if they're not a human being like we are as well.
And yeah, and it's like, it's not, yes, of course I know. I'm not saying, I know it's not all police. Like, it's not. They're not all, they're not put in a bucket. But those have just been some of the experiences that, that I've had. And so I was trying to tell, people that I was trying to make, especially white people aware of that this is why people are fearful. This is why I cringe when I see the police drive up on me. And, and then I got pulled over for speeding, which I was speeding to the grocery store. I was going to the grocery store.
Which I was.
I took, he pulled me over. He said, ma'am, he was like, where are you going? I was like, oh, I'm just going right here to the Publix. And he said, well, you're speeding. I said, I am. And I was like sitting like this. And he was like, okay, well, and it was a young white cop. He said, give me your license and registration. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to get it out of my purse. And it's right here. And he was like, okay. And I was like, no, but I'm just saying, I just want you to know that, like, I'm going to reach over and he was looking at me like, okay, lady.
Get your purse. Yeah, get your purse.
And I even told him, I said, but you can understand why, right? I said, I appreciate your professional. Like, he gave me a warning because I think he probably thought, oh my gosh, she's on edge right now.
Yeah, let this woman live. Let her live.
But it's just, so yeah, it's not all, but it's just those it took 11 times and you would form an opinion of how you are going to be treated. And so so I think that those conversations have to keep happening, and I think by you addressing that, it helps. It doesn't let the feed go back to being normal. Correct. Like, you're not gonna be comfortable just going back and posting the stuff that we've been posting. No, we're gonna still talk about Brianna. We're gonna still talk about these same things. Like, I like to let mine creep up every now and again in the post.
That's how I do on mine. I think today Monday. I think last Thursday I said something about Breonna Taylor on my IG story. I'm like, we still here.
Yeah,
we're definitely still here. We haven't left. We're not gonna leave.
Yeah, we didn't forget. And and it's interesting to you have those people that follow. Like, I have a small, limited following on my personal account. So when people unfollow, it's not hard for me to see. And I'm like, oh wow, you can't take me fighting for equal rights. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they helping you out.
I'm like, carry on.
Well, now, I can see when our following drops off by per 1,000,
right?
And it does, and I'm like, and it normally happens because I've spoken proudly about what should and shouldn't happen,
right?
And I give no crap about how I feel about it either. Like, if you want to unfollow me because I don't want my future child to have to. The stories that you just told in regards to driving in a car, the stories I could tell about, riding in a car, driving in a car, or someone calling my child the N-word or this or that. If I, as a black man, am scared to wear a hoodie at nighttime, I should be able to speak about that. And if you unfollow me for that reason, oh well, bye.
Right. Yep. Now, I'm sure on the other side of this one type of conversations that happen in your DMs, there's also the other conversation that happens where you probably get asked out on dates, where you get advice about who you date as well.
Yes, yes.
So do you answer DMs? Like what do you do?
Um, I appreciate that because there's always more than one facet, right, to a DM. Uh, I do. I'm not gonna say I answer every single one, but I try to
Mm-hmm.
answer like 50 a day.
Uh-huh.
Um, and especially if they're funny, if it's a funny DM, a really short funny DM, like you can't wait. You can't spell quarantine without URLQT. I've gotten that one a lot. Uh, just
Oh, that's a
funny.
good one.
Yeah, they just creative. I've seen girls like they'll put like Steph Curry shooting shots.
Nice.
They shoot my shot. Like if they creative and funny, I'll definitely probably respond. The funniest one I've seen is where a woman will she'll send me a screenshot. Let me see if I can show you. It'll be a screenshot of this right here, just like a blank keyboard or a blank
Uh-huh.
like for you to put your phone number in. She was like, "Hey, can you fill out this survey, please?" Like that's just those are funny to me. I always
Oh my gosh. Yes, that's good though.
yeah. If you creative, I gotta give you love. I gotta show your props.
Right. I bet it probably really makes those people, it makes their day when you respond back.
But
Yeah.
then some people be low key be getting mad at me, like if I don't continue to respond. I'm like, look, I'm like, brother, responding. Come on now, don't. What you getting mad for?
You like, look, we didn't match or anything. Like, we're not dating.
Yeah, like I'm getting mad. My bad.
They're like, are we? Oh, I'm in a relationship with him because he answered me.
Yeah, I'm like, man, you gonna mess it up for everybody. I ain't gonna respond to nobody.
Stop. So, ladies, if you're out there and you have slid into Mike's DMs, if he answers, just take that answer, girl. Take it.
Yeah, face value for that direct soul answer.
because exactly. Because here's the truth of the matter is that if you're interested, you will come back to them.
100.
Yes.
100,000% true.
Let him chase you, ladies.
Believe me, I will definitely do it. I will definitely do it.
See,
I will
there.
definitely come. I've posted on my stories before. It was some funny video of like this dude in the car going like that. In my story, I said, when it's Monday and your crush still ain't responding to your DM. So I'll be like,
oh my God. And every woman in the DM is like, but I will respond.
I mean, I'm like, I'm sorry, baby. You ain't the one I was trying to, get at.
It's not you. It's not you. Nothing personal, but it wasn't you. Oh my gosh. So, so now let's move into talking about your book, of which I am ready for my copy to land in my mailbox here, like soon. So I feel like it's like a framework or a toolkit to learning to better love yourself.
It is 100%. I like the way you put that. It's a toolkit. It is. And the reason it's a toolkit is because you need a toolkit to build a house, right? And once the house is built and the house is sturdy, you may not need every single tool no more, right? But there are things that happen within that house over time to where you might need the hammer right quick. You might need the leveler right quick. You might need the screwdriver right quick. That, just like in our life, you and I may both be extremely loving of ourselves, know that we need boundaries, know that we need forgiveness and acceptance and compassion. But we live in this thing called life to where something may end or will happen to where we need that pick-me-up. We need that tool to go ahead and use that tool right quick to bounce back to where we once were. Mm-hmm. And so this book, Making the Love You Want, that I wrote, is you could read it one time through, or you could just pick it up and go to your favorite section that you need right now. You can go to your favorite mantra and say, literally, I don't want to say none of the mantras right now because I'm going to get all hype. I'll say my mantra. It's going to say it with your chest. I'm going to have to like, like that. That's how my mantras work. But and the exercises within the book, that's why it's a toolbox. That's why it is, because there's each and every single one for a different topic when it pertains to self-love. It's so many different facets to it. It's not just one piece of it, right? And the beauty of it is, I know you said you had got married in your younger 20s, so what, you like 24 right now, right? Yeah. But you've met with a doctor in regards to learning boundaries, right? And that's not something that we learn from day one, you know?
Right.
We only learn about things as we progress in life.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm young, I'm not the oldest person in the world, I'm not the most wisest person, but I've taken my set of experiences and being around the world and having been in love and having been, you know, done things that I shouldn't have done to where the cops should have pulled me over, right? And I want to put my heart into the book. There are things in this book that my mom literally doesn't know yet. We got to have a conversation still.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, we got to have a conversation. You know,
the clock is ticking.
I'm scared. I'm like, oh, mama, I love you.
You know, you raised me well, right?
I know, like, mom, this did, you know, those things had to take place for this to happen. So.
Exactly, it's growth. It's growth, sir.
It is definitely.
That is so funny. I think that is so something you said as far as like, especially like when you grow up. I mean, like I'm from the deep South. I'm from South Georgia. Like you could do this and you miss my whole town. You'd be like, wait, what? So it's like how you're raised. I mean, I remember even having a conversation with my parents about going to therapy. And it was like this immediate, almost like they felt like they had done something wrong. And I was like, no. Like, while yes, a lot of who we are has to do with our experiences from being a child. And a lot of the things that trigger us, I mean, some of those things do. I mean, but I realized that my parents did the best that they could at that time. And so now it's for me to be able to do better. You know, like we didn't grow up talking about self-love. You know, we didn't talk about self-love and how important it was for you. But there were kids. I mean, there were a lot of kids that I knew, like they had confidence out the wazoo. Like I could already tell those kids were being taught at home that you are a superstar. You are da-da-da. I mean, my parents were just more modest, like come from middle class background. You know, they were like, work hard, you know, go to college, get an internship, get a job, you know how to take care of yourself, Kyra. You don't need a man for that. And, you know, so those were the things that I always like heard in my head was that, you know, I must go to college. I must not taint myself. I must get out of school before I date. I mean, I didn't start dating for real until I met my husband.
Oh, wow.
And then that came with a letter to my dad that said, I have a boyfriend, because I was so scared to like actually like say to him, because he would call and then I would always be out like at, you know, Best Buy or, you know, things that a man probably enjoys more than and my dad would call and he's like, I mean, why are you always at the Best Buy or at these computer stores? And I was just like,
well, yeah, you know, man. I like technology, you know.
Yeah, I was just looking for like some new stuff for my apartment, and so finally I was just like, okay, I have to write this letter. And I literally wrote the letter to my dad, and then I waited because I was like, well, I know he got the letter. Is he gonna call? And he like never like it was sort of this unspoken like, okay, daughter. Because I always tell my siblings I'm the favorite child of my dad. We know this.
Y'all know. Bow down.
Exactly. We all know who's the favorite, and it's Kyra. So, I mean, so you know, it's those things like that. You know, when you grew up, and it's just different times, and so like the things that you'll share with your mom, like she will be receptive of them because of who you are today.
Correct.
But
I was still that person, she'd be, She just looked at me with an
I
attitude.
think it's still gonna be fun. It's still gonna make for a good story.
It is. I should record her after she reads certain sections and get her natural
Yes,
reaction. And she'll
yes,
be like, Mike. No, she don't call me by my government name. Michael.
yeah. Oh, the full. You know, you're gonna get the full name.
Yeah, Michael. Like my mama, my bad.
Oh my gosh. Now, so I know you said that you have mantras in your book and that you don't want to share just yet, but if you had to say, there were a few of the key messages in your book. What are they, and why do you feel they are really important for today?
The key, I'll say this, because the cover of my book is out, right? And Make Me Love You One covered. And on the book, there's a reflection. Like after the letters, there's a reflection, right? And I talk about, in a few examples, there's something that I have with a mirror. And I believe that, and it's a tattoo that I have as well. I believe that reflections are huge. I believe that reflections don't lie. And I believe that we must be introspective in order to reflect so that we can soar and grow. And so I will say that was probably the biggest one. It's definitely a reflection of self. Definitely so.
We like that here. We like that. That's,
we like that here.
That's great. No, that is great. I mean, it is just like, you're so right. It's just about like the growth and being able to see yourself. Like so many people just can't see inside, and it's like, how do you expect to ever grow? Like even now, just during COVID, like my you would say my mantra has been that, I said I agree with everybody who said 2020 wasn't the year we knew we needed, because it is definitely like, I don't like, of course the reasons and the way we got here, my heart aches for people that have, the people who have lost family members, and for people who've had to actually experience coronavirus. But for what it has given me back in my life, 10 years of no balance, like, I mean, I'm like, yes, I'll work from home. Yes, I'll take this, and I told people, I'm like, we will never, ever, ever probably in our lifetime get this moment again. Like, this is a moment that it is like, you should be like, everybody doesn't, you don't have to start a business. You don't have to write a book. I mean, it might just be you sitting at the table doing puzzles every week. Or
it just may. That might be your way to stock up on happiness, right?
Exactly. But it's definitely a moment to take back our lives. I mean, like, I was just like, oh my God, like I was getting up at 4:30 to work out every day just so I could get to my office at like 7:15.
That's crazy.
Right? Yeah.
There's a IG post that I saved before. You know how you can save IG posts or whatever. It said, we are the only people, not just you, me as men, women, or just Americans, but just in the history of people, right? We're the only people that, wake up via a device to go to a place and walk on a treadmill, to come back home, deal with the dailies of life before going to work, sit in traffic, be at work for 8 to 10 hours, come home, sit in traffic, give that feeling off to a spouse, and then go to bed only to start it over again.
Yeah.
And then when you have your weekend, you don't want to, you can't even like live your life. Right. It's the only time in history that has happened, right? And so I agree with you that 2020, at first it was probably like, well, what do I do? Right. And now it's like, I can live. That's what I do.
Yes. Oh my God. Like, yes, it's just like somebody took the blinders off my eyes, because I'm like, wow, like I can sleep. I sleep till 6:30 now. I work out. Then I, casually saunter down to my desk to
There you
start
go.
the day. I
I like how you
spend time with the puppy. You know, I mean, yes, my puppy, me and my puppy and I, we're gonna be a whole mess whenever I do go back to somebody's job because he is so accustomed to being right here.
I didn't think about that.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it's
yes.
gonna be an entire nightmare.
Dogs are not gonna be happy. They're
Mm-mm,
not gonna be happy.
not at all. But like at 12 o'clock, I go work out. I do Peloton every day at noon
There you go.
versus sitting at my desk.
There
And
you go.
I'm just like, and I was already, because I'm a night owl, so I don't go to bed anyway until about like 1 o'clock. And I was getting up at 4:30. So I was, yeah,
Oh no, no.
no.
See, you gaining back your life right now. You gaining back years of your life.
Yes. Oh my God. And I just thank God that he didn't like, it didn't show in my appearance.
I thank God he didn't show my appearance.
I know, because people are like, wait, so you go to bed at what time? And I was like, oh, it's like 1:30. I mean, whatever we doing. Like if the mood strikes, we up. Like if I'm watching TV or if I get an idea, I come in here and I just start doing it. And then the next thing I know, it's 4:30. But I was unwilling to give that, I was unwilling to give up my workout time. I was like, I'm not going to give up my workout time because this is what I need for me. But like now, to be able to do it twice and to call myself getting stronger. I'm up there doing core workouts with Robin Arzon. I'm like, what, girl?
There you go.
So,
I love it.
So I think that is amazing. Okay, so let's see. Because wait, what are you doing?
I just had to get my charger right quick.
Oh, okay. All right. So another thing you said, I read, is that you said there is power in being vulnerable.
Yes.
So I want to know, has that always been the case for you? Is that something you've worked towards? And give us ladies some advice for our men that just refuse. I mean, I live with one that is like, I'm like, you don't feel nothing?
No, we do feel it. Just, it's different. We don't feel every single thing that y'all may feel. No, I did not always have the power to be vulnerable at all. No, 0%. I'm not gonna lie about it. That took a lot of time and a lot of being introspective and a lot of self-growing, right, to get to that point. It's necessary. It's necessary. Even when a person that has never been vulnerable, that moment that they can, whether it's by themselves or with someone else, it breaks everything down.
Mm-hmm.
Everything gets broken down. It's like such a weight is lifted off your shoulders. And then when you can do it would be by being respectful, right? To yourself, not just other people. But I mean, people need to learn how to be respectful to themselves, also, and be vulnerable in that regard. But for when it comes to men, like in relationships, we're not even vulnerable to our homies, like to each other. And so I think for us, I hate to say it, fellas, I gotta call us out. You gotta treat us like your pet. Like, you want me to be vulnerable, baby? I need to give me a treat. What are we gonna do today? Like, give me a treat. What we doing today, baby? Like, I feel that people show vulnerability in different ways also, though.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be a man's words, but it may be his actions that he does for you.
Right.
It may be, and because vulnerability is a language that doesn't have to be used in the English text per se.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that people need to be aware of that and just be aware of that as well. Being vulnerable could be you seeing your man on his hands and knees, right, by the bed when he thinks you already asleep. Right. That is a clear sign of him being vulnerable, right? And it might just be him needing that time for himself,
Right.
And you don't got to say nothing about it. It just is what it is, That vulnerability doesn't have to be spoken with words, like that.
Right. No, I like that, and I appreciate that. I receive that advice because I think a lot of times, I'm going to say myself, because we think about the way that we need to receive information. Like I am, one of my love languages is words of affirmation. So from my husband, I'm always like trying to pull that out. Whereas for him, it's like, he says, no, but I feel that way. Like I love you more than anything in this world. But do I have to say that exact statement to you every day? And I was like, no, you don't. But it's like for him, he's like, well, duh, you know that. And I'm like, no, but please tell me. Tell me.
Yeah. Well, babe, I need to know this. Cause like, come on now.
Yeah, I want to know how great like you think I am. Come on, tell me.
Yeah, baby, just tell me.
I think that's really some really good advice that will be helpful because yeah, I guess I know I had not really thought about it and like that until you just said it. And I'm like, you know what? That's true. I mean, when I come and he's reading his devotionals, like that is the same way I have my time with God. That is his way of being able to have his time with God. And it does, it to me, that is like the epitome of like you, because if you can give yourself to God and have those conversations, especially as a man.
Yes.
Because it wasn't always what the man, man ain't in there like throw my hands up in the air and testify.
Hallelujah.
He like this, look.
Okay.
Like his shoulders moving.
I know the shoulder shrug.
Right. So no, thank you for that. I like that. Okay, so now I want to talk about something you talked about when you were on the Breakfast Club. You mentioned you were working on this app that really helps to combat like negative thoughts and feelings and insecurities. Can you talk about that at all?
Yes, I can. No, absolutely. Because I appreciate you asking about it because no one's ever asked since. And I was like, I actually said it. It's the next thing coming out after my book. It's actually September 4th here in Texas. We're cleared to start filming again. And I have this first season that I'm working on. It's called Motherhood. And there are things that, well, I'll start from the beginning. I'm working on a website to lower people's insecurities and raise their self-love via simply the subconscious mind by you watching the content that I provide. And because I believe that media has a role to play, and a lot of the media that we see is very negative. There were about 4 reasons that occurred for me to come up to this idea, and so I've come up with over 73 seasons. The first season that we're going to start with is called Motherhood, and every single episode talks about a different facet of motherhood. So for example, one episode is 2 lesbian women that decide to have a child, and one of them is apprehensive because of what her coworkers may feel about her, because do they feel like she's not as dominant, as strong, or will they think things differently of her? So her and her wife in this story are dealing with that. And we also have a woman that gives her child up for adoption, and her sister now becomes pregnant and she's feeling some type of way because she gave her child up for adoption, and the mental battles that she's going through with that. Another episode is I don't want to say the title of it. It's called Grumpy Bear. We working on so much stuff, but people just know that I have a book. I have so much that I'm working on because I care so much about people's self-love and having, just love yourself first, baby. That's all I'll say. And another episode, like I was saying, is postpartum depression, which is a huge one. That's the episode called Grumpy Bear. It's so dope. I love it. But outside of the TV show concepts, right, or outside of the TV shows, there will be a resource tab. And in that resource tab, it's a forum to where I can anonymously say, hey, I felt this way today, right? Someone else could anonymously write back. The algorithms will always block out what's negative because this is not a place to where this is a freedom of speech of positivity. That's how I'm gonna call it.
I like that.
And also on the resource tab will be, so my sister, for example, when I was talking to Charlamagne on Breakfast Club, that episode was in regards to an insecurity that my sister has, which is her acne. But on the resource tab, my sister could write her dietary restrictions and put it on there. And so therefore, people that also have that can say, oh, okay, I have this as well. So this helped me out, right? Or for me, I have 4C hair. It's not an insecurity of mine, right? But a brother I need to know sometime what I need to put up in here, right?
Yes.
And so I know now because I talked to my homegirl. She told me, she put me on game. And that whole concept is called a more sweet. Is just literally a media presence to talk about real things. I mean, I got episodes on HIV and episodes on being dark skinned. I got episodes on being a man and having gynoplastia or male boobs. I have so many different episodes of so many different insecurity types, and we're gonna break them all down.
I love that. That's really awesome. I mean, I definitely the dark skin episode. I have stories. I have stories if you are ever looking for.
No, yes, absolutely. I really will be. 100%.
No, I think, man, that's awesome because, like you said, I mean, for every person that opens up their phone, looks at TV, looks at anything, like people are just. It's not the first thing to always assume that you are enough. From what we see on TV or Instagram, because everybody's out here living their best life on Instagram, and you get only the best pieces of that life. And and if you think about children, you think about kids that are like 13 or 14 and they're seeing that, or you just even think about people that are adults that just may not have, like, they may not be at a place to where they've recognized, okay, I'm going to go and talk to somebody or how I feel, or it's the person that's just saying I should, but I don't have time. But having a place like this to go where other people say, no, you're not alone. I've experienced that very thing. And then here's a solution for how you can solve it. It's like the thing that, like, what you're giving people is what I say about people with therapy. I'm like, you shouldn't be looking for a short-term fix. You need solutions that will help you for a lifetime.
Correct.
And like the acne story, felt all of that, because as a adult that still get the breakouts, just face be out here looking just like the pizza man came and he was like, hey, let me just drop some of these zits, or so and then so I definitely like when you actually talked about that on the Breakfast Club, I was like, oh, I know that, I feel that pain, and you'd be like, don't touch me, don't touch my face.
Yeah, that was that episode. Yes.
So that's really, I can't wait for that. So I hope that you will definitely keep me in the loop on when that's launching, so I can tell everybody about it.
Gotcha.
And you, as you probably already know, you're always welcome to come back and have a seat here and and talk with me, we can talk to anybody. But for my audience, where can they purchase your book and find you online and continue to follow your story?
You're so sweet. Thank you for that. It is on IG, Mike_Johnson. Mike Johnson. You'll find me on there. Mike_Johnson. My book, Making the Love You Want, you can find it on Amazon, or you can go to my website, MikeJohnsonSmile.com, for pre-orders. And I will say, lastly, just love yourself, baby. That's it. Just love yourself.
I like that. That's great words from a wise man. So everybody, again, Mike, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Thank you.
Are you ready to start a podcast but don't know where to start? Well, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me tell you why. It's free. There's an easy creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be easily heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So what are you waiting for? Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Welcome back to the Glow Up Girl podcast, and wow, what a great conversation. Thank you again to Mike for joining us today. If you're not following him, you can find him on Instagram at Mike_Johnson, and also visit his website at MikeJohnsonSmile.com, and you should definitely sign up for his newsletter. He drops some great inspirational nuggets weekly. And go ahead and pre-order his book and get it because it's coming out in October and you definitely don't want to miss that. And as for us, you can find us at glowupgirl.com. You can find us at glowupgirl on Instagram. And when you're on our website, you can link over to all our other social spaces. As I mentioned before, this episode is also going to be available now on our YouTube channel. So please head over if you want to see a visual of our conversation as well. So before I go, thank you all again for taking a little time out of your day to spend it with me. I really, 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 really appreciate all of you. And a couple more things, because I'm wrapping up and I actually have a lot of things to say to you today. I do want to thank our sponsor, Perfect Match Jewelry. They offer amazing nickel and lead-free jewelry for $5, and you can visit them at perfectmatchjewelry.com. Second, we are hosting our first ever Glow Up Live event on September 25th at 3:00 p.m. Eastern Time. What is Glow Up Live? I'm glad you asked. Glow Up Live, it's their curated events designed with you in mind. And our first one is really going to be exciting. We're kicking it off with our friends over at Pound Rock Out Workout. So it's an amazing workout. So if you love music, you love a full body cardio jam session that's all inspired by playing drums. I have the Rip Sticks and I love them, and I've been doing some of their workouts. But if you don't have Rip Sticks, the instructor is going to show you how you can just use your body weight or things in your house. So it's going to be a fun time. So head on over, tell your friends, and sign up over at glowupgirl.com. And lastly, before I go, I'm going to leave you with a little glowspiration. If you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours. Until next time, stay focused, fab, and glow up. Take care, everybody.